This is my 1999 Mercedes-Benz G500 Cabriolet, and it is my favorite car I've ever owned. Yes, that may surprise you. It is more favorite than my Ford GT, my Ferrari I used to own, my Skyline, my Aston Martin, my Defender, old and new. This is number one. This is a ridiculous car, but it is my favorite car, and today I'm going to explain why. Let me start with a little overview. About a year ago, I bought this G500 Cabriolet, and I made fun of myself. I said that it was a very expensive Barbie Jeep, which it is, and I said that it was ugly, which it is. And at the time, it was just sort of like, oh, weird, quirky Doug is buying another weird, quirky car. And yet, since then, something interesting has happened. I find myself driving this basically everywhere. I've driven this car 9,000 miles in the last year, which is pretty impressive because we're in the middle of COVID. No one has anywhere to go, and because I have another car that I use for driving to my job to film these videos. I've taken it on 2 road trips. I drive it to errands, to meals, to off-roading, pretty much everywhere. It has become my very favorite car. And today I'm going to explain why. Why do I love this weird, old, rather ugly vehicle quite so much? What is it about this thing that makes me want to drive it so often? Why has this become my daily driver, my favorite car? Today, I'll explain. All right, I'm going to start with the number one reason why I like this vehicle so much, and that is simply that it's weird. Let's be honest, I love weird, quirky, interesting cars. One thing I've discovered about myself over the last couple of years is I'm not really a supercar guy. I didn't really love the Ferrari that I had, or really even the Aston Martin that I had. It was great, but it's not really my thing. And I don't use my Ford GT anywhere near as much as I thought I would when I bought it. I like cars that are weird, that are quirky, that are interesting, and this is sort of like king quirk. It is so strange that they made it. It is so ugly with these triangle windows on the side. It's just bizarre, and I like bizarre cars and I like to be in them. It's also weird and unique. A V8 powered, off-road focused, convertible SUV with a power folding top. No one makes a car like that. In fact, Mercedes didn't even really make all that many of them. Over about a 17-year production run of the power top G-Class Cabriolet, they made about 2,600 of these. They're tremendously uncommon, and I just like the quirkiness, the rareness, and the uniqueness of this vehicle. And this particular G-Wagon Cabriolet is especially rare because it has been certified for registration in California. In order to import a car to the United States, it has to either be 25 years old, or you have to go through a costly federalization process to get it up to US standards. This one went through that process, and then it went through a separate process to get it legal in California, which is even more time-consuming and expensive. There are only about 10 G-Wagon convertibles that are California legal. It is tremendously rare. And so this vehicle is pretty much irreplaceable. People are always asking me, which is your favorite car that you own, the most special car that you own? It's this one. And they always say, not the Ford GT? No. It's this one. This would be the hardest to replace, the most unique, the most special to me. Put it this way, if there was ever a fire at my house, get the family out first, then the G-Wagon, then the dog, and then maybe we start thinking about other stuff like the Ford GT. This is unbelievably special to me, unbelievably rare, especially with its California certification. You're just not gonna find it again. But a lot of cars are special and quirky and interesting. That can't be the only thing I like about it, and indeed, it's not. There are many others, for instance, the triangle windows. No, just kidding. This is one of its biggest drawbacks. The fact that they ever thought this triangle window setup was a good idea. It is so stupidly ugly. It looks like a G-Wagon that's been shortened in Photoshop wearing a toupee. But anyway, other stuff I like about this car. Number one, after the rarity, is the usability of this car. It's tremendously practical. You have 5 seats in here, so you can carry around a lot of people. And there's a lot of space. Even though it's a 2-door, they've cannibalized all the luggage space to make room for passenger space. And so you can bring around people. My dog, whatever you want in this car. It's very practical. You can't do that in the Ford GT with only 2 seats. In addition to that, it's usable in terms of driving experience. It drives and rides like a modern car. 5-liter V8 with over 300 horsepower, so it can get up to highway speeds, it can stay up to highway speeds, and it has modern amenities, heated seats, cruise control, power seats, memory, that kind of stuff. None of that is true with my Land Rover Defender, which I also love, but far more utilitarian, far less daily usable than this. And then, of course, you have the power convertible top. In so many off-roader SUVs with an open top, if you want to remove the roof, you're going to be using zippers and levers and snaps, and it's going to take forever. And it's like once a season that you take the top off or put it back on. You take it off in the spring and then you put it back on in the fall. Not in this. It's just a button. You want it to be a convertible with an open top, push a button, 30 seconds later, you're driving with the sun in your face. You want to put the roof back on, boom, 30 seconds and it's on. That's really special. It's just such a usable vehicle for daily, everyday purposes. And so it presents an interesting combination. It allows you to have a weird, quirky, bizarre vehicle without any of the drawbacks normally associated with having a weird, quirky, bizarre vehicle. It's not impractical, it's not slow, it's not old, it's very usable and still quirky. And that's really cool. And on that vein of usability, another big benefit that this G-Wagon has is reliability. When I first bought this, another YouTuber, a rather odd one, made fun of me and said G-Wagons are pieces of crap and Doug DeMuro is an idiot for getting one. Well, that couldn't be further from the truth. I admit that newer G-Wagons, the ones that were sold in the United States later with later powertrains, transmissions, all sorts of gadgets inside, those became pretty unreliable as cars go. But Americans who tell you that G-Wagons are unreliable have never had any experience with G-Wagons before they were brought to the US. My car doesn't have any weird electronics or gadgets. There's no center screen, there's no cooled seats, no blind spot monitor or transmission lever that pops back into place electronically, blah, blah, blah. I don't have any of that. So my car is unusually simple in terms of accessories and things that can break. But more importantly, under the hood, I have the M113 V8, 5-liter V8, Mercedes made in the 90s. It is one of the great engines Mercedes has ever built. Tremendously reliable, exceptionally well known for its durability, strength. This thing's got about 86,000 miles on it, and I suspect it could go easily 3 times that without major engine repair. Mercedes in 2020 isn't exactly known for reliability, more technology, innovation, cool features. But back when this engine came out, Mercedes was known for being the standard of the world in reliability. People know all about Mercedes diesel engines from the 70s and 80s and the 90s and how reliable they were, but there were also some truly fantastic gas powertrains in there, and the M113, the 5-liter V8 in this truck is one of them. This is one of the most solid powertrains to come out of this era and to ever come out of Germany. And this engine has not let me down yet. In 10,000 miles on a 20-year-old car that's traveled now with me on several road trips with a wife and a dog who wouldn't be very understanding if it did break down. I have total confidence in it. And back to that wife and dog for a second. They love this car. My wife loves this thing, not to drive, she's never driven it, but to be a passenger because it offers so much at once. Check this out. My wife and I recently took this on a road trip up the coast in California. We drove it on the Pacific Coast Highway with the roof down, the sun coming in, on the cliffs at Big Sur, pulling over to watch the waves, and it was amazing. Then the next day we were able to take it on an off-roading trail and find some cool vistas and views because of how capable it is. Then when we drove home, we took the more direct route on the highway, cruising at 85, 90 miles an hour, comfortable, quiet, easy. So my wife loves it because it's weird and quirky and interesting, and she knows I love that, but on her end, again, no compromises, no sacrifices, and you can do so much with it. Top-down cruising, or off-roading, or highway travel to get to a destination. So it's great to actually share and use with people, and I love that about it. My dog loves the fact that it's a convertible. His favorite cars are my convertibles, and he loves being in this thing with the roof down. So that's it. That's a basic basic overview of this car and why I like it so much after 1 year of ownership. You may be wondering, why exactly did I make this video? And the reason is, well, two. Number one, I wanted to sum up a year of ownership. It's been dead reliable and I use it all the time, but also because people online keep asking me when I'm gonna sell this thing. Car enthusiasts get the Land Rover Defender, my yellow old school truck. That makes sense to car enthusiasts. The Ford GT, of course, also makes sense to car enthusiasts, but this, they're like, this thing is weird. Why would you want that? What is the deal? People are always asking me, would you trade the G-Cab for a whatever? Are you gonna sell the G-Cab? Oh, you still have that? Yes! I will never not have it. I truly think I would sell all the other cars before selling this one just because of its amazing combination of weird quirkiness and daily usability and reliability and the fact that it can do so much. Be a top-down fun sun cruiser or an off-roader or a serious get-to-your-destination daily driver type car. It's just the perfect combination of stuff. And as weird as this vehicle is, and as much as I thought it would be such a strange little novelty when I bought it, I turn out to absolutely love it. It really is fantastic. And so if you're wondering, do I still have it? Am I still gonna keep it? The answer is, for as long as I possibly can. The only way I will sell this vehicle is if a newer one comes available with the same engine or a similar one, but maybe some better tech and more safety and luxury equipment on the inside. But otherwise, this is it. This is the car. This is the car I drive the most, the car I use the most, and the car I like the most. I know it's weird, but I'm weird and I like weird cars. Shouldn't surprise you. So that's the basic report. 1 year with a Mercedes G-Wagon Cabriolet. What started out as a weird, quirky purchase turns out to be the perfect vehicle for me. I love it. I really love it. I want a newer one. And frankly, I wish Mercedes made a new one because then I would buy it. But for now, I will stick with my companion, my '99 G500 Cabriolet, the best vehicle I have ever owned.